Hey guys, thanks for listening to The Cynical Nerd. Please keep in mind that we do not avoid spoilers for any of our topics, whether they are current or past media. Listen at your own risk. Oh, damn it. Hey, man.
It's about right.
Yeah.
It's about right for today.
Pretty sleepy Sunday.
Yeah. Would you call it a lazy Sunday?
It's a very lazy Sunday.
Did you wake up in the late afternoon?
I did not. That would be great, though.
Did you call Parnell just to see how he's doing?
Oh, okay. I'm on board.
Yo, what up, son? Yo, Sam, what's cracking? You thinking what I'm thinking? Sorry.
That's okay.
We don't have much to talk about today.
We don't.
That's okay, though, because we had a big boy last time. We were like 2 hours and 3 minutes last time.
Yeah, it was a big old nut. I feel like every time we go like, we don't have that much, though, it ends up somehow becoming a really long episode. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. Yeah, no, seriously, though, with like written down topics, 6 week in review articles, a trailer.
Singular. One.
Singular. Not plural. And then we're going to talk about one episode of Moon Knight, which is weird. I thought that Disney always did like a 2-episode thing. Yeah. In fact, like they just announced that. Well, I guess this is part of Week in Review, even though we're still in the pre-roll phase. Fuck it. I'm drawing a line in the sand.
Yeah. Let's do it. We're reworking the format now in year 2.
Reworking the format. I don't even know what I was talking about. Right. Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was supposed to release on May 25th, I believe, which was going to be a Wednesday. They pushed it to Friday, the 27th, so they're pushing it by 2 days, but they're releasing 2 episodes when it comes out. So further evidence of weird that they only released 1. They also gave, I think Moon Knight's only 6 episodes. It's like the Hawkeye thing.
Yeah.
So which is cool because I feel like when they do that with these characters, it feels like they care more about them, because 6 episodes is just like a really long movie. It's like we have a lot to tell you about this character, and we want to, like it's like the Hawkeye thing with 6 episodes.
Same with Loki, I think, right? That was only 6, and that was probably the best show they put out. So
it was very good, very juice. But they gave like reviewers 4 out of 6 episodes to watch, so we're getting these reviews that are taking into account much more than we got to see. Whatever, we'll talk about it later. Talking about the main topic right now. And then the other one, I'm trying not to give away my feelings on it, so I can surprise you later.
I really have no idea, and I'm really excited to see what you think about it.
Raised by Wolves, which is a show that's in its 2nd season. I think its 2nd season's done on HBO Max. Yeah. Because the doc was so light this week, I said, "Hey, you have any ideas, Puss in Boots?" And Puss in Boots said, "Yes, Raised by Wolves."
I've just been hearing about it, and I knew nothing about it, and I didn't look at a synopsis or anything. Like that's how I went into the show, knowing
I knew 2 things about
nothing about it,
which is much more than you knew. Apparently, one is that I knew that Ridley Scott directed the first episode.
Okay,
so I knew it was sci-fi, and I knew that there was some kind of alien in it because I saw every time I click on HBO Max to watch anything else, like even DMZ.
Yeah.
They were like, "Hey, do you want to watch Raised by Wolves?" And there's like this big alien thing in the background, and I was like, "Oh, no,
alien shit."
Yeah, some aliens. That Ridley Scott.
Right?
What can I say? He likes alien shit. All right, fuck it, get right into it.
Let's do it. I'm almost done. Stranger of Paradise. I just want to tell you.
Oh, and SOP.
And the only reason I bring it up is not because I want to talk about Stranger of Paradise, even though I could, because I'm surprisingly liking it, even though
I could.
I have every reason to not like it. Weirdly enjoyable game. Is that what we've been talking about for I feel like a pretty long time, 6-7 months, the fabled Cyberpunk 2077 replay through.
Oh, yeah.
Is going to be next on my gaming docket. And since we've been doing this thing where we kind of play the same thing at the same time, I just wanted to see how you felt about
the water. Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I was also going to say that I'm supposed to go play Horizon 2 after I finish Elden Ring.
Right.
And I think I'm going to play Cyberpunk instead.
Okay, I was going to say, if you wanted to do that, I actually want to play the Death Stranding PC thing.
Not waiting.
Okay.
Not waiting.
Okay.
We can convert. We can converge after that, so we can do Cyberpunk.
Okay,
and then we can go.
And then we can go our separate ways. Right.
Yeah.
And never talk again. End of the podcast.
Yeah, never talk again, and we're done. Episode 62. I don't know what it's called yet. We'll figure it out while we're talking.
That's kind of what we do.
Yeah, it's a real rainy Sunday. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm wearing my favorite t-shirt. It says, I contracted Legionnaire's disease by drinking condensation from my AC unit, and all I got was $10,000 hospital bill. It's my favorite thing that I own, including my son. It's just hilarious. I saw it on a Facebook ad, and I bought it within 5 minutes. I'm not one of those people that like gets sucked into those.
But you did it.
But I did it. I got one for Veronica too. We have matching. I contracted Legionnaire's disease by drinking condensation from an AC unit, and all I got was a lousy $10,000 hospital bill T-shirt. We have matching ones.
You told me the onus of that and like what it actually means, and I think it's funny. Now, question: you said that's your favorite thing you own, including Odin. Does that mean he's part of the favorite thing you own, like him plus the shirt, or is it just the shirt?
It's
I really want people to know if you love your son or not.
It's a tie, but like the shirt right now is heading out a little bit. Like when he's teething and he's screaming a lot, I'm like kind of eyeing up the shirt. You know,
you're like, I could just go curl up and cry somewhere in that T-shirt. It's not going to talk back or judge me, or grow up and resent me for it.
Just kidding. I love you, Odin. If you're listening to this like 20 years from now, wow, sorry for all the things I said, first of all. Second of all, I love you.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I know it's morbid, but you know, as long as the hosting never runs out,
right?
The podcast will live on the internet indefinitely. And I'm like, oh man, I hope like 30, 40 years, hopefully that's how long it takes. And I'm dead. And my son's like, oh, I have this great. I have like, oh my God, I have like over 100 hours of listening to my dad talk. This is incredible. I have this great bond with him. And he hits the first episode and he's like, well,
oh, that's the kind of person he was. Okay.
Yeah.
What if by that time in history, like animes and furries have like taken over the world and you're just like, wow, you guys are fucking bigids. I can't listen to this.
Yeah. You see, either that or we were like revolutionary. We're like revolutionaries, like leading the underground movement. There's like,
yeah, episode 124 is from a bunker where you can hear bombs, just fucking lights dimming in the background and dust falling from the ceiling.
Oh no, they dropped 3 more fur balls. Because in future speak, that means, you know, the furries drop bombs. Obviously.
Pretty good. Pretty good. How are you today?
The horses again. No, it's not a euphemism. They're fucking the horses again. Okay.
Oh, there's horse people now. Okay.
Yeah. I'm doing well. You said it's a lazy Sunday. I don't know how. I don't know. Man, it's hard to segue off of the horses again. I don't know how I'm not a little hungover today. I had a lot of okay, here's how. I asked the question and answered it. I had a lot of Michelob Ultras last night.
Right.
They're basically water.
Yeah. But
I drank over a long period of time. Like I came upstairs at like 9:30, was playing Elden Ring, aka Smell Them Things. And you know, I started drinking these and I'm watching YouTube videos. Then at like 11 I went, "Oh shit, I got to watch that show." So I played that. 2 episodes, they're both like 50-ish minutes. So it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I think I went to bed at like 1:30.
Mm-hmm.
By the time it's like 1:30, I look over and I'm like, I bought a 12-pack and I have like 4 left. And I'm like, I feel fine.
Yeah.
Like I've just been drinking them over such a long period of time that like the concentration was probably just like 4 actively in my body. The rest I had pissed out already.
Well, that's how I feel about like White Claws, I love White Claws. I'm not one of those people that trashes them or like tries to turn them into like an effeminate. Like you have to really be just on top of drinking them constantly for like your liver to not just process the shit out of them.
Yeah, it's like, bro, I'm a pro.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
I've been with you for all these years. Yeah, I know. Both you and I know what you've done before. Okay?
Yeah, been at your side all along, literally at your side, in it.
Oh, got me. Yeah, I'm doing good. This is like week 2 of kind of shirking on my diet, but
okay.
So the last week my birthday was the weekend, it was March 20th. And I was like, well, I had a couple days off at work I took. just to, treat yourself.
Right. Of course.
And,
of course.
And I was like, well, it's kind of awkward to slip back into it midweek. Like, I'll try not to, eat or drink like a total asshole, and I'll be okay. I weighed myself Sunday. I had only gained like 2 pounds.
Very nice.
No big deal. But then this week kind of fell apart too a little bit. But it's okay. There was two things I'm switching up my lunch meal preps.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually cooking in the crock pit right now.
Dude, the crock pot and like slow cookers are the greatest fucking invention known to mankind. They are just.
You want to hear what this recipe is?
I do.
Oh God,
because I bet it takes 20 seconds to say the whole thing.
Yeah, it's called Keto Crack Chicken.
Okay,
and I hate the fucking title, but it's literally chicken breast with chicken broth and ranch seasoning, Hidden Valley ranch seasoning, and a crock pot for however many hours you got. If you can cook it slower and longer, then do that. So my wife turned it on like 9:30 this morning.
Yeah.
It'll be ready in like 2 hours. And when it comes out, we're going to put cheese and sour cream.
Oh, wonderful.
And bacon in it and mix it together and shred the chicken.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm just going to, and I'm going to put broccoli in it. And we're going to dole that out into my lunch things. And that's my lunch. But this is great news because I almost never prep my lunches on Sunday. I always do it Monday nights, which means Monday, whatever. Anyway, starting fresh tomorrow. I did weigh myself yesterday. I was actually down a pound. So I don't even know how that happened because this week has also not been wonderful for my body. I think this probably only makes some sense, but I think that because I was dieting for 8 weeks straight without doing anything, I've been eating less, even if we're not eating good.
Yeah.
Like, for example, she stopped at McDonald's one night this week and I was like, oh, all right. But like, I don't want a whole meal. Like, just give me 10 nugs and like whatever, like a double cheeseburger, like no French fries. I never touch soda, but like,
oh, that's right.
That.
You're like not a soda drinker. I need to get on that page. That's my weakness. I don't like sweets. I don't like candy. I don't like any of that shit. Cake, ice cream. Well, not that I dislike it, but I never go for it. But soda, I will fucking. And there's dude, it's disgusting how much sugar is in those. Like a single 20-ounce bottle. It's absurd.
I feel like that's how I've gotten lucky that I'm probably not dead yet. It's that I've eaten. I'm like, oh man, I don't always eat that great. And like, I'm thinking about stuff and I'm like, well, but I literally don't ever touch, like the amount of sugar my body intakes is probably very low compared to most modern Americans. Like I don't touch sugar. There might be a hint of it in coffee, the coffee I drink, but I drink coffee and water. That's it. Like, yeah, it's, really, if anything's going to kill me, it's probably going to be cholesterol. We're going to go get blood work done. We'll be okay. Anyway, I say all that to say that a little detour from the diet, but I'm feeling pretty good. Like I'm like super ready to get back into it. I can't wait for tomorrow. And the great news is I haven't lost too much progress. So, wunderbar, as they would say in other countries that are not mine.
Or titties, which they say right here at home.
Yeah. Or giant pierced goth titties.
Yeah.
Which I think the first time I saw someone describe something as such was in Horse Chat. So. Yeah.
Well, Scat Chat now. It's
Scat. I'm sorry. Scat Chat TM. It sure has. It's been a little raucous in there lately. Okay. All right. So we covered how you're doing. We covered how I'm doing.
Now,
where am I in Elden Ring?
Doing? Yeah, where are you?
Oh,
I meant to ask you that.
I'm in the capital.
So you did not finish Volcano Manor because you wanted to do all the contracts first. So you went and did
right.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think my current game plan, if I'm remembering this correctly, is the capital, and then I go through the Forbidden Lands to the Mountaintop of Giants. And once I get a little bit of that opened and I kill the dude that's there for Volcano Manor, I'm going to cycle back, hand in that quest, kill Rykard, and then go back to whatever I was doing. But I'm like level like 111 right now.
Yeah, so you're like over leveled pretty much for
I'm over leveled. Yeah, like it, and it like I know the katana's already good, but the fact that I'm over leveled and like I'm like it just needs like an ancient dragon scale and it's gonna be maxed.
Yeah.
I'm just fuck things up.
Yeah. You find a bunch of those in the capital too. Like I think that's the first spot you encounter them. You get a good like 3 of those at the capital. And then they're kind of like the Titanite slabs. Like I'm assuming they're finite and there's probably only like 10 or maybe 15 per, you know, like world gen. But there's more than enough to max out the weapons that you really like. very excited for you to finish so we can talk about it.
I am too. And like I told you off pod, I've kind of gotten to that place where I'm like, all right, what's the literally I'm walking through this game progress route and they'll just throw in like interesting Ashes of War to pick up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, am I going to use that? I'm like, no, I'm not going to use that. Yeah. So I'm literally going da side quest upgrade. Okay, do that. Not doing this. Fuck that. Like, okay, golden seed. Of course I'll get that. Like,
yeah.
So, I'm trying to.
That's what I like when I play through again with the Ashes of War and all them, because I played primarily through 80% of the game as a caster. And then I switched to Katana Dex Bleed build with a sword whose sword art. What is it called in this? Ashes of War. That I already liked, so I didn't want to change it. So like I never re-equipped any ashes. I never experimented with that, and it's like a whole like spectrum of the game that I just totally did not indulge in.
So many different things in there, and there's like I equipped the God Peeler, like this twin blade, and I was like, this is fun.
Yeah,
I can't use it because it scales like a D with Dex.
Yeah.
So but it's fun to swirl around for a couple minutes. Okay, I'll switch back to my Uchi Katana and go fuck somebody up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm having fun. I feel like there is something to be said about if I'm actually doing everything in the game, I'm going to be over leveled. Like by the nature of it, there's too much stuff to do. It's almost like they don't want you to use a guide and just find things.
Yeah.
Well, obviously they want you to just play the game, but because if I wasn't using a guide, I would have missed so many things and I'd probably be where I'm supposed to be. But I'm like, oh, I got to progress these quests.
Yeah.
And therefore I'm 111 now.
Yeah.
in the capital where you're supposed to be like just 80 plus.
Yeah.
Anyway, holy shit. This is a long pre-roll. Welcome. Episode 62. I said 62 earlier, but I didn't have the welcomes in front of it, so it's,
Right, didn't count, yeah.
It's like not official if you don't do that. We got some things to talk about. I'm going to swing this up to the top just because it feels like I want to get somber stuff out of the way.
Swing it out of the way.
Bruce Willis has announced his retirement from acting. He was diagnosed with aphasia, which is something that typically happens to people who have strokes, or other. There's no link in this because it was just all over the internet. Aphasia is something that typically happens to folks who suffer strokes or other diseases conditions such as that. And aphasia basically means that it's a language disorder caused by damage in specific areas of the brain. It leaves a person unable to communicate effectively with other people. And because of this, he's retiring from acting, and the Razzies who nominated him for a million like bad awards have retracted them. They were like, yeah, it's just in bad taste.
Wow, good on them. I wasn't aware of that.
I don't know when this happened to him. I don't know if it's something like he's been having trouble with stuff lately, and then he went to a doctor and they were like, oh yeah, you've been like this for like 6 months and didn't realize it. Or if it just happened. Either way, he's been making nothing but like shit movies recently. But either way, like some of my favorite action movies have that guy in them.
Yeah.
Like the original Die Hard is such a phenomenal action film. Mm-hmm. And some people like 1 better. I personally love 3 the best. I know that's like saying you like Return of the Jedi more than like Empire Strikes Back, but I think
do, so that's okay.
Oh, there you go. I think the 3rd one with Samuel L. Jackson is the best of the films. Anyway, condolences to him. I know he's not dead, but like
no, but it's going to be a huge lifestyle change. It's probably an indicator, not to sound overly cynical, but of health that's probably going to keep declining. But I've always maintained that Bruce Willis, well, it's not me. It's a well-known thing in the industry that he's a difficult person to work with. He's an asshole. Like, nobody likes him. Everybody hates working with him. But I've always maintained this idea that I think it's weird that we don't let famous people be assholes. Like, we're allowed to be assholes, but as soon as they show a sign that they kind of don't want to talk to someone, or like they just want to, like, look at Harrison Ford. People approach him, and now we're getting to the point where we laugh about it. But for years, you'd have like Star Wars fans like, oh, what was Han Solo's favorite color? And he'd be like, I don't fucking know. Like, I leave me alone. Like, I'm just going shopping right now. And people would paint him like he was like this big asshole. But it's like, imagine you're going out just trying to like buy a toy for your kid or something, and just dozens of people are just swarming you, asking you dumb questions about a movie you started 20 years ago. Anyway,
Right.
I'm getting derailed here. I like it. I recognize that Bruce Willis is not the nicest guy, but I don't think that makes him any less of a person. You know, like whatever. He's still a human being. So hearing this news actually was a huge shame because, like you said, a lot of the sort of foundational action movies I saw as a kid that set the tone for stuff that I like to this day, he was in. Is the dog in here?
Oh, are we about to get the siren?
Yeah, it's going. Yeah.
Let's get it.
No, he's
why are
not
things
in
always
here.
on
We're okay.
fire near you?
It's constant. So yeah, no, it's a bummer. I hope, I know this is like, aphasia has to do with, achalasia is another thing. I didn't pull that out of my ass. Do you hear him? Really? He's in the other room.
Yeah, I can hear him.
Holy
it's
shit.
It's not like that loud, but it's like you have nice background music.
Right. I guess it has to do with being able to understand speech and to return that communication and, which is usually the first thing that goes with dementia. So, you know, I wish him the best. I wish his family the best. I'm happy that he is, making the right move and just retiring, just take care of himself.
Yeah, and it's actually like I agree. So there's always this thing, and look, sometimes the person's life and actions are unforgivable.
Yeah,
like I don't know, when Rush Limbaugh died, man, he can rot in hell. He was kind of a giant piece of shit. I don't care if he was nice to that one kid that one time.
Yeah.
I don't think like being an asshole or being rough around the edges is in the way that Bruce Willis apparently was enough to condemn somebody to not feeling pretty bad when they are suffering from something like this. So that's why I decided to take a minute and talk about it.
Yeah.
Another thing, they put something up on Instagram. His daughter, Rumor, is the one that put up the post about him having aphasia. And as a result of this, he's stepping away from the career that has meant so much to him. The post was signed by Rumor, her siblings, the actor's current wife, Emma, and his former wife, Demi, who apparently he stayed pretty close with, which it's just like a nice... Whenever I hear someone stayed like close with an ex because they had kids together, I'm like, well, there must be some kind of glint of a human in there. I mean, what makes me more sad, and it's of course always going to be speculation, is that coworkers have been apparently suspecting he's had some sort of cognitive decline for a number of years. Again, there were running jokes about go look up how many movies he was in 2020 because there were a lot and you didn't hear of any of them because they were not good. There were all these like direct to, if there were such a thing as direct to DVD, that's what it would be. But yeah, someone like brought up this movie called Out of Death, which is one of those 2020 movies. The director said he needs, there was a note that came to the forefront because of this. It said, it looks like we need to knock down Bruce's page count by 5, need to abbreviate his dialogue a bit, make sure there's no monologues. Like people were suspecting that he was having trouble with this. And it makes me sad. I just, like I said, I don't have anything else to say about it. He's retiring. He's diagnosed with aphasia. I wish his family well. I hope he has, however many years left he's got. I hope they're fun, and I hope he's with family. And I hope he knows that he made some of the. Sorry, he knows he made some of the acting cult classics.
Yeah,
of our
he's
time.
not like laying awake at night. Like, I wonder if people liked Die Hard. Was that a hit?
Well, what if like? Okay, let me ask you a question. Would this totally redeem Kevin Smith in your eyes? If even though
Kevin
this
Smith
came out,
redemption arc.
he went the opposite way and was just like, I don't give a shit. Fuck that guy. He was a giant piece of shit. You know what?
Oh,
that's what he gets.
Yeah. Oh, I worked with him on Cop Out. He was a piece of shit. I hope he forgets his first name.
And while he's condemning Bruce Willis, even though he's got this debilitating cognitive disease, he's still crying about it.
Right. Because he has to. Just can't escape the cry.
Yeah.
Oh, that would absolutely.
I love you, Kevin. I really do. I think you're a sweetie. I know you would never say that about Bruce Willis.
I loved you, Anakin. It's gone now.
Like a brother. You were my brother, Anakin. Oh, I can't wait for that show. Woo! Anyway, okay. First real piece of news.
What's the date on that, real quick? Because I have to start rewatching the prequel trilogy.
May 27th.
We have a bit. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. You got time. I'm doing it with you, by the way. I think I told you. I don't know.
Do me.
At the most, the last time you mentioned it, which I was on one of the podcast episodes, I said, oh, but that was me in my head going, I'm going to do that too.
Okay.
But I couldn't form the words.
Yeah.
Right. First off, there were some rumors of this, and then they announced it officially. PlayStation is unveiling their competitor to the Game Pass that will let you play some old games. It is not exactly the Game Pass. There are some severe caveats, I would say, and that, in my opinion, will keep it from competing on the same level as the Game Pass. The first and foremost one is that first-party PlayStation titles are not guaranteed to come directly to the Game Pass day one. They will still come, not day one. I feel like it's a big blunder on their part. I gotta be honest. Mm-hmm. Xbox Game Pass, bro, you pay for that shit. There's brand new first-party title games.
Yeah.
We were playing Halo Infinite with everybody else, and we didn't have to fucking buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird to me. But they are overhauling PS Plus and PS Now. They had these disparate services that didn't really work together. Now they're going to have 3 tiers of one service. And they're going to have over 400.
That shit was so confusing and weird.
Yeah, it was dumb. And like no one used PlayStation Now.
Yeah.
Anyway, the 400 PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games to download. Let's be honest. There's 400, probably like 355 of them are PlayStation 4 games because there's barely anything out for PlayStation.
Yeah.
That's probably an underestimate. It's probably like 490.
Yeah.
And the third and most expensive tier will allow you to play those games from Sony's back catalog. The third and most expensive one is $120 a year, and you're like, oh shit, that's a lot of money. Well, it's $12
a month. Yeah.
Well, a little less
even.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. 10 something. I don't know who
yeah.
fucking knows these things. Mathematicians, maybe. Calculators, even. Anyway, the current PlayStation Plus will cease to exist. Well, that's not true. Technically, it will be about the same as the lowest tier of this, but they're changing the name. It's going to be called PlayStation Plus Essential, which will be confusing at first, but it keeps the 2 free monthly games and various bonus content for the same $10 price. As expected, the new setup will ditch the PS Now name and instead merge that into the second tier, PlayStation Plus Extra. So there's PlayStation Plus Essential, Extra. That's fine. That's not confusing. This is essentially their Game Pass equivalent with all the Essential tier stuff and up to 400 games now available to download, which is matching Microsoft's Game Pass Ultimate, which is $15 a month. I know I'm reading a corporate slideshow right now. I'm almost done, I promise. Finally, there's PlayStation Plus Premium. So we got Essential, Extra, Premium, which includes the previous 2 levels and adds in the back catalog of PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games, which is actually kind of enticing to me because there were a lot of titles that released
that I missed.
for PSP that I never touched.
Yep.
There was a God of War PSP exclusive game that apparently was pretty good.
Yeah, there was a Final Fantasy VII knockoff called I can't remember. That I always wanted to play but never could. So yeah, I think it's awesome. Now, granted, let's see what titles are released like when it comes out and if they have any kind of release schedule. But for $10 a month to play PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 games, that's totally worth it to me. I think that we've been expecting this to come for a while just because Microsoft, even though they're like a worse company, has been doing a lot better and making smarter business moves.
In the content area, yeah.
And at some point,
in the streaming area.
Yeah, but at some point, it's like you have to go like, all right, we have to keep up with our competitor. Seems like they're finally doing that. Maybe I'm a fanboy. That's, it's very possible, but I am kind of I believe in Sony and their ability to sort of pull through. They do some dumb shit, but they always find some way to make up for it and pull through. I think that they buy up interesting studios to make unique games. I feel like they don't like sort of cookie cutter games, at least for their exclusive titles. I believe that they could pull this through. I'm not saying I'm going to commit to it on day one, but the fact that you're talking about games as far back as PS1 that could be on this service and it's only $10 a month, that seems like more than worth it to me.
Yeah. Of course it gets sunny out after it was cloudy, so I'm blown out over here. That's better. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I am a fanboy. I'll say I'm a fanboy. I'm a fanboy. I am a fanboy.
Oh my God.
Fanboy. Yeah, so the premium tier lets you stream PS4 games in the cloud. It allows you to stream them to your PC. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff here.
I don't know. PC? It's pretty titty.
I guess I'm kind of, I just want clarification around that because, the remote play has always been a thing. So I don't know if they mean remote play via your console or if they actually mean there's going to be an app that lets you stream, those games directly to your PC. I hope it's the latter of those two, because again, that would be titties. And I can't imagine they'd remove remote play just to include it with a tier of their service, because that would be the shittiest. The new service is going to roll out in the first half of this year, starting in Asia in June. It will be in the US and Europe after that. It will also include Death Stranding, God of War, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat 11, nice. Returnal will be on there. So maybe I won't be purchasing Returnal because it's going to be on this new service that comes out. Good thing I kept putting that one off, huh? It's ultimately a good idea. Obviously, as they start to get feedback and people start to subscribe to this and voice complaints about things they like and don't like, hopefully Sony is quick to make changes. Historically, they are not quick to make changes, but they typically do eventually change things to what people have asked for. Sometimes it just takes them a little bit longer. Anyway, next up on the docket.
Jockey.
Our favorite developer, Nintendo.
Love you guys.
I'm sorry. Breath of the Wild sequel has been delayed to 2023. Look, I don't care. Because ask me if I'm going to... Ask me if I'm going to play this on the Switch.
Are you going to play this on the Switch?
No. I'm done.
Are you going to play it on the Steam Deck?
Possibly. Or I will play it on my PC and just emulate it. There's no way in hell I'll be buying the sequel. I've already gone through my anger and aggression towards Nintendo for the hoops I had to jump through just to play Breath of the Wild, the original one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And their weird statuesque response to anybody who wants to, I bought it on Wii U.
You just
never
got
beat it.
Significantly louder in my ears, which I don't know if that I don't, it doesn't bother me. I just making sure you're not going to be blown out on your recording or something.
No,
you're not
my mic. Okay, my mic input looks fine. I mean, I might have gotten a little closer.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah. I mean, I bought it on Wii U. I didn't beat it. I wanted to go back and play it again. And I found out that they wanted me to basically buy the game again to redo that. And whatever. I'm not recounting the story. Fuck Nintendo.
Oh, you emulated it and you actually had it really sauced up with mods and shit.
Yeah, and it looked glorious. Yeah. And I thought, I guess the biggest holdup for me for never having emulated before was that I was concerned that I would run into a bunch of issues, where you it's going to lock up or but I literally had one problem the entire playthrough, just one. And all I had to do was turn off the mods, play through this little cutscene and then turn them back on.
Right.
There was something about the mods where halfway through the cutscene, the game would just lock up and I was just turn them off and let it play and turn it back on. It was a fantastic experience. Anybody who wants to play Breath of the Wild and you get a decent enough computer, Simu, baby, do it.
Yeah, damn, I kind of want to do that now. I had meant to back when you did that, and then I just forgot about it. Them delaying this, whatever. Delay it. I think we talked about this last week. Delay whatever for as much as you need to make a good game. Stop releasing unfinished games. I really liked Breath of the Wild 1. I know that there's a weird divide of people. I mean, overwhelmingly, it's a praised game. I know that, but there's classic fans who are say it's not a true Zelda experience or whatever. I don't give a shit. I thought it was a great game. Yeah.
Fuck them. Classic Zelda experience is stupid.
Yeah. Ocarina of Time, which I played 2 months ago, was fucking dog shit. It was it was every minute that I played that game was aggravating. I probably took a year off my life just playing it. It was awful. It was terrible. Link to the Past is still big dick energy, but Jesus Christ, Ocarina of Time was terrible. Anyway,
I'm not trying to pull up horse chat drama, but didn't someone just say that they
Scott was saying he loved it. Yeah, but dude, but don't go. However you have it, and I'll say the same thing I said to Scott. However you have it in your memory, keep it like that. Because when you
I'm proud of you right now.
Because when you
You're not touching your mic, and I'm really proud of you. I would continue.
You're right. I'm just
you're talking with your hands, but you're
hovering
but you're
around
not,
it.
You're not jerking it or like fondling the bottom. You're doing good.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Continue. Sorry.
No, it's just keep it in your memory how it is. It's really terrible. I know the 3DS version did not. They like made improvements and it's more, I don't know, it's just smoother or whatever. So play that one if you absolutely have to, but oh my God, it's terrible. The SNES one was good.
SNES.
The 3DS, what was that one called? Link Between Worlds. Excellent game. Excellent. But anyway, I anticipate that the second Breath of the Wild will be too. But now I'm like, if it can be shmemulated, maybe I'll just shmemulate it, right? Like if you can make it look so much better, might as well just shmemulate. I don't know. We'll see.
Word. Excuse me.
I think it looks really fun. I think it looks like a good game.
What? Breath of the Wild 2?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not looking forward to playing it. Yeah. There's no way in hell I'll be paying money for it through Nintendo. Fuck you guys. I'm stealing it. I said it out loud. Arrest me.
Nintendo execs in suits just appear behind you on your camera right away.
They just swarm my house.
We've been waiting. Yeah. He said it.
I know. What's his name? Reggie Phil. He's not in charge of Nintendo anymore, right? He left.
Yeah.
I can just see him. I can just see him swatting me
with his sweaty palm.
Yeah. I don't know. See, I'm kind of here. Here's my thing with that. I know I just said I would steal it, and it was for comedic effect. Here's the thing. I'm on board paying full price for a game when it comes out because I understand that it just released. This is how much this product costs. It's not like they've already made their nut back and it's 4 years later and they're still trying to sell it for $60. But my conundrum is I know that that's what they'll do.
Yeah.
So
it's like retribution for your future self.
Right. It's almost like it's like what a weird conundrum. I'm okay paying $60 for it if I buy it like within the month after it comes out. Well, even like 6 months after it comes out, really. But if I waited, then I wouldn't be okay paying that amount of money for it. Whatever. I don't care if I'm a walking contradiction. I'm a hypocrite. We're hypocrites here. So we do. Okay. Speaking of shitty studios, Bungie. I'm just kidding. Well, I mean, I'm not kidding, but this article is actually very interesting. And Bungie is on the offensive here in rightly so, I guess is the right way to put it. If you haven't heard about this news, earlier this month, there was a bunch of Destiny 2 YouTube videos, including a couple high-profile content makers from them, and even Bungie themselves. They got hit by rogue copyright takedown notices that were generated by fake Google accounts. And if you don't know, Google uses algorithms for everything. So 9 times out of 10, those copyright takedown notices aren't being looked at by real people. They're being looked at by computers who, go through and there's no way that Google could handle the amount of copyright requests they get with real people. They'd have to pay too many fucking bodies. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that happened, created a big hubbub, and Bungie is now attempting to sue the people responsible for it and has called Google and YouTube out for allowing themselves to be tricked by fraudsters in the first place. And I read that and I went, that's kind of interesting. It gets weirder. So what happened earlier this month, there were soundtrack videos, cutscenes, other content, including, like I said, videos by Bungie themselves, streamers, big names in the community. Derek and I don't know who the fuck they are because we don't like Destiny 2, but My Name is Biff and Aztec Ross were hit as well. Those are some of the streamers in question, leading to freakouts that they thought Bungie had changed their content maker guidelines, which they've traditionally apparently been pretty lax about. I have no firsthand knowledge of that. Mm-hmm. Although our good buddy Nick would. Check him out at Long John Silver's. I'm just kidding. All he does is play Destiny. Don't waste your time. Love you, buddy. I'm kidding. He's a good guy. He is actually like legitimately a good guy, but he does only play Destiny. So if you don't like Destiny, then maybe don't, Well, but maybe
he's been playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands lately.
Oh, true. The other game I don't give a shit about. All right. Anyway, so these actually, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. I don't give a shit about it, but that should not reflect poorly on him. If you're interested in watching some of that gameplay, Long John Silver's. Anyway. So Bungie had to come out and clarify and say, whoa. It's not us. We're not the ones doing this. And they have now taken the matter to court to figure out who's responsible. They filed a lawsuit on March 25th. Western District of Washington, they're targeting 10 unidentified John Does who they are accusing of the fraudulent DMCA takedowns. This is, and it gets even deeper. And I know I haven't let you talk yet. I'm sorry.
No, I need you to download all of this information.
I'm doing it
because I couldn't make any sense of it.
There's still more. So according to the lawsuit, at least one of the people responsible for the rogue takedowns apparently emailed some of the affected YouTube accounts a manifesto explaining why. Quote, if you're looking to place blame, placed on YouTube for its sloppy copyright takedown system and Bungie for ignoring the issue for so long, it reads, the lawsuit takes aim at YouTube's overall system for copyright takedowns. It's kind of wild. Yeah, okay. So while the studio is still subpoenaing. It's weird to say. Subpoenaing information to uncover the identities of the fraudsters. It says in the lawsuit, it believes the rogue takedowns might have been retaliation for Destiny soundtrack videos Bungie had removed from YouTube. The fraudulent takedowns apparently began a day after the authorized ones were completed and used a fake Gmail address that was very similar to the one used in those earlier takedowns. So someone spoofed an email address, and it literally happens to my job. People in our accounting office will get an email from an email address that's like, let's just say me, it'll be, C read at, and like 1 or 2 letters will be swapped in the domain. Yeah. So it looks super similar. And our brains, if you can jumble every letter in between and it'll read it correctly. Yeah. So just those 2 letters, people don't necessarily notice. And, it looks like they fucking got them. They tricked somebody, they tricked an algorithm.
What did it effectively do though? Like to Bungie, like I don't. That's what I don't understand. Like this sounds like something YouTube has to fix, not something Bungie has to fix.
Yeah, no. It's something that YouTube has to fix, but it's Bungie going after YouTube to fix their shitty copyright takedown notice.
Understood.
So what effectively happens is assume that you're a content creator for Destiny and you make money off of uploading Destiny to YouTube videos, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, these run-of-the-mill videos that you're uploading that probably show the same thing that you were doing the week before.
It's season 17, chapter 4.
Now I can jump 3 times instead of 2. I'm sorry. I had to sneak a dig in there somewhere. Now it's a sword and not a bow, but they ostensibly work the same. Yeah. Okay. So look, the gunplay is sick. I'll never ever tell somebody that Destiny 2 doesn't have wonderful gunplay, but everything else is generic. I forget what I was saying. I don't know. Oh, right. So assume you're uploading these videos every week. Out of nowhere, you get these takedown notices. One, that those videos can't be monetized anymore. But this also happened to Bungie themselves. Like some of their own videos were copyright stricken.
Okay, understood.
So Destiny's like, Bungie's like, what the fuck, YouTube? Like, how could you let this happen? You're hurting our community. You're hurting us. And they're trying to figure out who done it. That's all I got to say.
So this is essentially like an activist who's trying to tie up a bunch of bullshit, like bureaucratic nonsense between like terms of service of Bungie and YouTube, and to tie that in a knot to basically say like, you guys need to fix this shit because it's dumb.
Yeah.
Okay. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate those are 2 companies that I fucking hate. YouTube, and I mean I use YouTube all of the time. I mean constantly. Like that's what when I eat dinner, I watch YouTube videos now. There's no like family dinner where we all watch the news or a new show or whatever. Veronica and I are at our separate desks and we are both watching YouTube with our headphones on. That's our family dinner. Welcome to 2022.
You did a watch party.
It's true. We could. So I still use YouTube, but Bungie, like, and that's the other thing. Whenever the split with Activision happened, everyone was like, "Oh, well, they were the shitty ones," and it turns out things got significantly worse after Activision left. So it's like, all these years of Bungie kind of leaning into it, like, yeah, it's them. We have to do what they said. Turns out, no, you're a bunch of greedy assholes at the same time. So anything that hurts them, or even at a minimum, just wastes their time. You have to show up in court now. Excellent. Happy to hear it. Derek seal of approval. 100%. 101%. A+.
I wish the sun would stop coming out after it's been
That's why
Whatever.
I have blackout curtains on all the time. So I always control the light level in here.
It's okay.
It's also why I'm like suffering like from a vitamin D deficiency. So there is a catch-22 there.
A little give and take. A little give and that's what the one a days are for. Replenish that vitamin D.
Yep.
I can give you some vitamin D if you want.
Fuck the sun. Yeah, I caught it.
Bet you did. Okay. New Division 2 update. That was a long I apologize. I've been trying to cut down on my ums. I realize I do that a lot.
Me too, but it's never going to happen.
Segments. I try to. Anywho. Any hooser, as my wife would say. This is kind of an off-color update here. So Ubisoft has a Division 2 update coming out. And guess what it's about, Derek?
Tell me, Chris, what's it about? I know what it's about. I read the article.
It's about a nuclear power plant invasion. Ooh, okay. So look, excuse me.
Your excuse.
Obviously, they've had this DLC planned for quite a while. It takes time to make video game content, and they could not possibly have foreseen something like Russia invading Ukraine, and more specifically, trying to take over the Chernobyl area.
Mm-hmm.
However, in light of certain events, do you think a for-profit video game developer should withhold or scrap content that looks a little insensitive to the suffering of people in other parts of the world? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't take any issue with this whatsoever. Like, that's my, I just don't like, okay. Well, the way you framed that question, let me answer that question. So like, if there was like, let's just say, God, I hate to use this. I hate when people go to the Holocaust, but like, let's just say that was happening in
oh God, you're going right to Hitler.
Oh, all right. Let's just say the Holocaust was happening now.
Let's just say Hitler's president.
So if like the Division 2's update was about like, literally about, like internment camps and like you trying to stop the Germans from putting the Jewish people into the chambers or something, that would be like, whoa. But like,
we rushed this content out.
So yeah, we want you to experience what's happening over there. Yeah. So we want you to feel like a hero. So anyway, if it was more like on the fucking nose, then yeah, sure. But like, frankly, whenever a conflict happens between two countries, one of the first things you do is like get a hold of their sort of like energy or resource production. I just think it's too like bland of a topic to go like, oh, well, this relates directly to what's happening with the Russia-Ukraine conflict, especially because I think now the Russians actually left Chernobyl. Like they came to some agreement and they left. I read that. Who knows if that was accurate. But in any event, I feel like there's a certain point where you go like, well, how much of like what modern day war is or a modern day conflict, rather, do you have to avoid? Like where's the line? Like where's the line? Like, is it triggering to see like a tank because there are tanks over there? Should there not be? You know what I mean? Like, at what point do you go like, well, this is too close? Whatever that line is, I don't think that this is there. It sounds like it's just like a gameplay variant, like stop the nuclear reactor from being overtaken by the enemy team. It's not like it's about invading a country and like trying to, like stymie their nuclear resources or something. It's just like a game, an online PvP variant. So it's hard for me to see that. I don't know enough about the game type itself, but it sounds like they did wait until like they were going to announce this, I guess, like right around when the invasion happened. And then they kind of went like, fuck. And they at least waited a little bit. I don't see an issue with it. I don't, it's just, it's too broad of a thing that happens in any open conflict to go like, oh, well, this is specific to one thing that's happening right now.
Right. I mean, up next in Tom Clancy's World at War, Russia invades Ukraine. So which side are you picking? No, I'm just kidding. I mean, you're right. No, I see what you're saying. And look, I mean, it's clearly not even remotely similar. It takes place in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
It's a fictionalized piece of video games. Like, I understand the parallels, and sure, it's shitty timing for them, but they're literally making a game that involves war and conflict. So parallels are bound to happen because war is traditionally war. Mm-hmm. It's not all that different. Some people use chemical weapons. Some people use guns. It's all horrific. Well, technically, chemical weapons is not war. It's war crimes. But you know what I'm saying. Anyway, you spoke about Chernobyl. And I don't know if you'd seen the reports, but Russian troops who apparently didn't know any better drove through the Red Forest and are probably going to die of radiation poisoning. I don't know if you know that or not.
Oh, really? No, I was not aware of that.
So the Red Forest is the area like directly outside Chernobyl. It's one of the most heavily contaminated. I mean, there's radioactive dust sitting on the floor of this forest.
So Ukrainian forces. Where was it then that the Russian forces had left? Like they were trying to occupy.
I don't know if they may have left Chernobyl. But this was a little while ago. But yeah, the Ukrainian forces, they spotted a big convoy of military vehicles that drove through the Red Forest, which is like 65 miles north of Kiev. Probably trying to get to Kiev through another route. But I mean, I don't know if this was like these were young Russian guys who, didn't know any better or what, but like, some of those guys are going to die a painful death, probably.
Did you ever read about the 3 divers who like a part of when the Chernobyl incident happened? This is totally unrelated. I'm sorry to go off on a tangent.
No, you're good. Do it up.
There was it had fallen into I guess there was something with steam had created the internal explosion. And so whatever water that they used to produce the steam, the reactor was going out of control was now sinking into that water. And you had to actually swim underneath this collapsed structure to get to the reactor to shut it down. And it was 3 divers who knowingly, the Russian government was just like, listen, you're going to die in agony in a couple days, but we need someone to do this. And they got 3 dudes to do it.
Right.
And they said that swimming through it felt like swimming through peroxide, like everything tingled. They did whatever they had to do. They saved literally hundreds of thousands of people. Died in absolute agony 3 or 4 days later, and nobody knows these guys' fucking names. It's just 3 dudes who saved 1/3 of Europe. It's just insane.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever watch the Chernobyl show?
No, I need to. I've meant to for 2 years now, or however long it's been out. I just haven't done it. Is that do they cover the divers in the show? Is that a part of it?
I don't recall if they cover the divers, but I was going to say that they cut. There are more than one. There is more than one sets of individuals who did stuff like that. That these workers, they literally said, we're paying you inordinate amounts of money because you're not going to have a long time to spend it. Yeah. But we have to get down there and I don't know what it was, shoveling all this area out. It was something to try and cool the reactor because it was going to melt down another time shortly after it went off. And all these guys they're literally stripped down into nothing. They go down there naked. And are shoveling out radioactive material, knowing full well they're going to die, but they're doing it because if they don't, it means a disaster. You know what I mean? It's crazy to
now, what I remember you're saying that now. I remember hearing a story about how a lot of them, their request was just basically, well, just put me out of my misery. And the Soviet government was like, okay, we will. And then they didn't do it.
And then what?
That was one of a lot of their terms were well, listen, once I'm really in pain, just kind of shoot me in the head or something. And they were like, totally, we'll do that. Thank you. And then they just didn't do it.
The one thing you're good at, Russia.
Yeah, I know, right?
Civilians for no reason. Why would you? What? That makes me angry about it.
I know. Anyway. I guess it was a PR thing. Oh, thanks for saving all of Europe. Now we're going to kill you. Even though it was specifically at their request, but still.
I get that. I mean, I would definitely ask that too, because apparently radiation poisoning is a very terrible way to die.
Yeah.
Your internal organs will just liquefy.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy thing to even say out loud because it sounds so science fiction-y that it sounds made up.
Yeah.
You're what? That's not... Organs can't liquefy. No, they just break down like rotten fruit. It's fucking disgusting. It must be horrific.
Yeah.
Anyway, even people who get doused in radiation and survive go through horrific ordeals
for the rest of their life.
Survive.
Like it's
and then
it's a recurring thing forever.
Yeah, they're at like 400% increased cancer risk in like every fucking cancer known to man. You have to like check everything constantly. It's crazy, dude. Okay, we have one trailer to talk about. There's one more news article, but it's related to one of our MTs, so we're gonna move it. It's about Moon Knight. I'm not gonna keep you in suspense. I have something to say. This will mean nothing to you.
Okay, say it.
I'm pregnant. No, I'm kidding. Hey, Sam might be. I don't know. We're going to take a test at some point today. I've been listening to the Expanse books on Audible.
Dude. I just decided yesterday watching Raised by Wolves. I was like, I'm watching The Expanse. I'm doing it. It's so fucking crazy you brought that up.
Oh, cool. Gotcha.
Sorry, please continue.
I think I've told you this before. The show starts off a little slow, and I know I hate when people say that.
Yeah.
But it does a little bit. And I don't think in a bad way, because I didn't know this, but the books and the show, like season 1 of the show is like exactly the first book. Like I just got done listening to it. Here's what I shall say. I love that show.
Yeah.
However, they stopped early. There's like 9 books right now or something, and they stopped after season 6, I think it was. And even season 6 was truncated a little bit. It's not a disappointing ending, and I still highly recommend the show, but you can tell there are plot threads that aren't completely resolved, and you're like, well, you're probably hoping they get picked up by someone else at some point. Here's what I shall say. I don't know why I keep saying it like that. I'm not fixing. I'm just gonna be what's his name? What's that movie with the albino guy that has lightning?
I know fucking idea what you're talking about.
Hang on. Powder.
What?
You never
more
heard
lost,
of it?
man.
Oh my god! Don't watch it. Who plays the main guy?
You could be making up all of this. Hang on.
No, there's a movie called. It's a 1995 film called Powder. I'm not fucking kidding, bro.
Hang on.
I didn't know that you didn't. Fucking Jeff Goldblum's in it, for Christ's sake.
Powder.
You thought I was kidding.
I really did. He's albino and he can shoot lightning out of his fingers.
He can't shoot lightning. The film. The guy's name is, I don't know. We're off on a tangent in here. The film's main protagonist is Jeremy Reed, Reed, not to be closely related to me.
Right.
Nicknamed Powder because he's an albino. He's an incredible intellect. He's very smart, and he's like telepathic and he has like paranormal powers. And let me try to figure out, like, I don't know, a bunch of shit happens. I don't know. He dies.
Right. Well, okay. All right. Guess I won't watch that one.
It's sad.
I didn't plan on it. You just said the most random. I felt like a 4-year-old just told me the plot to that movie. He's called Powder because he's albino. He has telepathic. He has electromagnetic. Well, he dies.
I didn't feel like the plot of the movie is like legit too long to read out loud. I'm gonna speed read some of it.
Okay.
Just to tell you, gist. So he's a young albino man who has incredible intellect and is able to sense the thoughts of the people around him. His brain possesses an electromagnetic charge who causes electric objects to function normally. Yeah, I can't do this. He also has alopecia. Him and Jada Pinkett have something in common. He can't grow hair anywhere. Chris Rock's gonna slap him too. I mean, Will Smith. You know what the fuck I meant.
The 90s were so weird, dude. My God. You could just,
whatever reminds me of?
Fire off a synopsis of a movie, and I think you're fucking with me. Wasn't Whoopi Goldberg in a movie where like her partner was a dinosaur cop or something? Everybody was on coke in the 90s. No, I really don't think I'm making that up.
No, so there was I'm going to forget what the fuck it was called. There was a movie that reminds me of Powder that had John Travolta, and it was in like the 90s, and there was some weird twist to it where like they thought he was like telepathic or something, but really he like had a fucking brain tumor. Phenomenon, maybe? I don't fucking know. Yeah, Phenomenon. I'm right.
Got it.
Okay. Cool. In a film, An Amiable Small Town Everyman, John Travolta, because of course he shouts everyman with that chin, is inexplicably transformed into a genius with telekinetic powers. Turns out he has like cancer or some shit. Like, dies. Like his brain is
terrible.
His brain gets like they're like, oh, you'll use 10% of your brain. Like they were building the movie off of that old trope or something.
Right.
And like he got I don't know what exactly happened to cause it, but they found out he was like growing a tumor in his brain or something. And I don't know, whatever. Phenomenon and Powder, go watch them.
And
Horrible
Theodore
90s
Rex,
movies.
which I linked in Disco. Just see.
I get it, because like T-Rex.
Right, exactly. But he's a cop.
Oh, ye old Theodora. Anyway, how the fuck did we do this?
I don't know.
The Expanse. What I shall say for the last time about this is that 9 times out of 10 people say, oh, the books are better. And there's a very real and easy to understand reason why, which is that books can go into so much more detail and help you get into the head of the character. Mm-hmm. And like a scene in a movie that could be just like a shot of someone like making like a face, and it can be like 2 paragraphs in a book of like explaining like why he's thinking this and you know how he's come to this point, and like what, you know, if he gets a flashback to an earlier scene or some shit, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you get so much more context and character building. So books are almost unanimously better than the source material just for that reason alone. Or at least a different experience, one that helps you really dive into these people. And the same is true with The Expanse, with one exception, which is that because it's sci-fi, I fucking love it. Like, I love the show, but I love the books. Because, for example, and here's a very easy example. In the show, I've told you this before, but Expanse was kind of like held up or heralded because it takes science fiction stuff very seriously. Like they try to keep it as close to as close to real physics and like what we would actually have to do. And, you know, so it's really cool in that way because they play with a lot of interesting, like, theoretical scientific fixes to limitations on humanity. One of them being that when you need to get somewhere really quickly and you have to fly really quickly, and the G's are therefore getting to an area where humans can't survive. In the show, they would basically shoot a cocktail of chemicals into people who were in these crash couches, which are like gel padded seats. And the chemicals just keep you like alive during a short high G burn. Mm-hmm. And they don't really go much beyond that. Like they just say like, oh, they call it the juice. Like that's just their term for it. Like, you ready to juice? And then they punch the high G. And you're like, oh, that's kind of neat. That's a neat concept. Again, the show does that. No complaints. It makes sense. You're like, oh, that's cool. In the book, though, I mean, they tell you things like, they're like, oh, well, there's a chemical in there that stops your heart or keeps your heart beating because it wants to stop because the rib cage is compressing everything. Like, there's a chemical that he's like, oh, when the G burn stops, you instantly want to throw up, but there's an anti-nausea medication to stop you because all of these things, any single one of them could be deadly because you're in space. If you throw up in your suit, I mean, you're fucked, right? So it's just, there's so much more like detail and like thought, everything's thought out so well, and like why this does this to your body. And those are the details in sci-fi that I want to know because it's science fiction. So anyway, I'm on the second one. Can't recommend it enough. I love it.
Okay. Great.
You'll like the show, and if you like the show, you'll love the books. The end. Anyway, we have movie trailer to talk about.
We do.
I've been wanting to say that for like 2 podcasts, and I keep forgetting to bring it up.
No, I'm happy you did. It's funny that I'm telling you, literally, when we were watching, what the fuck, Raised by Wolves, that was the first thing that popped into my head, just thinking about like, well, there's some, obviously we're going to get in that in just a minute, but there's some stuff that's pretty high concept, but there is some hard sci-fi in that show. Yeah. Here and there. And that made me think like, oh, what's that other show that I've been meaning to watch? And I was like, The Expanse. I was just like, you know what? I'm fucking doing it. Period. So
it's all on Prime.
Yeah.
You have Prime, baby.
I do. I'm primed.
I'm primed and ready to fire my load onto this trailer. Top Gun Maverick. New trailer came out. All right. I'm going to keep this real short and sweet. One, I'm still curious how they're going to use Val Kilmer. He's back in this movie. I think he's going to have speaking lines. They show a picture of him at the very least. I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. We know that he's had a lot of health issues. and can't talk like he used to. He's got the thing in his throat.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm sorry to tell you the sad news. He's had a lot of health issues. He has to talk with the hole in his throat.
Really? Was he a smoker?
I don't know exactly what caused it, to be honest with you. There's a documentary that his son did on him. But yeah, last time I saw him, not doing great.
Right.
Or at least he's fine now, but whatever happened caused him like a lot of health issues. Not 100% sure what it was, but I'm just curious how they're going to get past that, because it sounds like he's going to like be in the film for it, even if it's just a couple like shots, like a cameo.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't have a lot to say about this except for I liked the first one a lot as like a classic action film, and I think this looks pretty fun. And I know that I don't agree with like 90% of Tom Cruise's life choices, but goddamn, that guy is a classic action star and can make a movie. And I want to see it.
Yeah,
he's in some bangers.
I agree. It looks really fun. Like, and I was surprised by that. I watched Top Gun as a kid and then never again. And like, it was good. No, like it was, I remember it being good. Like I remember it being an exciting movie. It's just sort of like one of the classics. And I don't know like what the quality is in it that like puts it in that sort of category, but in any event, Tom Cruise is the element. But I know that it's not praised for no reason. So even though I was kind of like, yeah, that was good and done with it. I get that it had a huge cultural impact. Obviously we're living in the era of like remakes and reboots and blah, blah, blah. And so like hearing about this, I was like, oh man, I don't give a fuck about this. But it does the double D. It does look like a fun movie. I mean, the way that the like jet scenes were shot was very exciting, very thrilling. There's a lot of drama happening on the ground I don't give a fuck about, like not even a little bit.
Yeah,
I just want to see
the
jet shit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, shouldn't you guys be in your jets?
Yeah, cool. I get it. You don't like each other. Let's work it out up there.
Yeah, up there. Let's get in the sky. We'll figure it out. No, but I'm gonna watch it. Not when it's in theaters or anything, but you know, I'm gonna watch it. It looks good. I do have this weird thing where like Tom Cruise is he's a bad person, and I know it. And I know that when I watch movies that he's in, I'm supporting a bad person.
But he's a good actor.
He's just in some fucking good movies, man. Oblivion, Edge of Tomorrow, Minority Report. Dude, it's just, I don't know. It's not even like he's not the best part of those movies even. Like the movies are just good, so you have to watch it. But no. So I'll check this out.
I feel like I've told this story before, but very early in my relationship with my wife, we were, I found out through conversation that she had not really seen a lot of Tom Cruise's movies. Yeah. And she's like, I just don't like Tom Cruise. He seems like a weirdo. And I'm like, no. 100% correct. However, and we went through this thing where we watched like, what's the fucking movie where he's the driver and like Jamie Foxx is in it?
Good question.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
It's it's on the tip of my tongue. Jamie Foxx, Tom Cruise, Collateral.
Okay.
That's a good movie. We went through this phase where we watched Collateral, Minority Report, Oblivion, and like, you know, every time we watched a movie. Oh, I think we tried to watch Last Samurai, but she fell asleep. But that is an excellent film.
I have to watch that. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, and I remember really liking it then, but I remember nothing about it.
It's a long movie, but it's a good movie.
Dude, Oblivion was so fucking good, and it was such a sleeper
Oblivion
hit.
Is good.
I had no like faith in that movie whatsoever. I put it on just because I was bored, and I was like,
"What kind of cool sci-fi is this going to be?" And you're like, "Oh my god, he's a clone!"
Really good, really, really good.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Yeah, it was subversive, which is unusual for sci-fi movies anymore. Mm-hmm. Like they're usually pretty cookie cutter. Anyway, by the end of it, she's like, I think I like Tom Cruise now.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. We don't want to go that far.
Pump the brakes. Yeah, hold up. You saw Edge of Tomorrow, right? Or I think it's called Live, Die, Repeat. It has like
another
2 titles.
Great film. Edge of Tomorrow is fantastic.
Emily Blunt. Dude, really, really good movie.
He has just been in some great movies. All the Mission Impossibles have been fun, even up to the latest ones. They're still good. I can't deny the man. He is a movie star. But he's a weird guy. Anyway,
he just has hollow, dead eyes hidden behind a very warm smile. I think that's the unsettling thing about him.
And I feel like I've said this a lot this episode, but I may have said this before because we've talked about this film coming out previously. There was a teaser previously, but he, has a penchant for doing a lot of his own stunts. And the original film didn't really do that. A lot of it was in a cockpit on a green screen. Mm-hmm. In this, he was in a plane.
Oh shit!
My good buddy, shout out to Smadley, works at an Air Force base. I will not mention which one. I don't think that's classified, but he does have classification to his job. I just farted. If you could hear it, safety. But the Air Force base he works at was where they were flying. He's like, Tom Cruise was like in a jet with an actual pilot, like they were doing stunts above the base for the movie. And you can tell because if you watch the original film, like, they show him like in high G turns and stuff, but you can tell that he's not actually being affected by high Gs. And in this trailer, one, because he's a little older, but also just because he's actually doing it. Like there's a couple shots where he breaks and pulls back and you can see his face just you can tell he's really doing it. And the way they did it was they're shooting these fights as if they're in single pilot jets, when in reality they're in dual seaters. Yeah. He's in the back seat with a camera looking. Yeah. And there's someone in the front seat, like actually flying it, but he is in the fucking plane doing these crazy maneuvers.
Oh, that makes me even more interested, honestly. That's...
Yeah. I mean, he's always the guy that like tries to do his own stunts and like that, the world of, I mean, these guys are animals. They're like other creatures. This era of like these ace pilots who, are like magnificent dog fighters. It's crazy. So yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I was really into like model planes. Like I would build these like an F-16 plastic model. I would build them with like the little tweezers and cement glue and stuff. And I used to love like military planes. I was never like into the military, but I used to love like fighter jets and stuff. Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to this. I think it looks sick.
Yeah.
Honestly. I mean, like you said, I don't care about the drama on the ground, but
yeah. One thing I'll add, like, and this has nothing to do with this, but just on the topic of like, like cockpit realism. That's one thing that the sequel trilogy well, take it or leave it. The one thing that the sequel trilogy of Star Wars did really well was how like the like gravitational forces inside the cockpit were so accurately displayed. Like in the old ones, all you see is they sort of like shake a little bit and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's still green screened in the new ones. They're not in an actual X-Wing, but I mean, like there's a part where Poe Dameron does like a hard break, and he like actually throws his arm up on the like window of the cockpit to like brace himself. I just appreciate shit like that. It makes it feel more like visceral. Like it makes it feel more, I don't know, has more weight to it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And in this movie, there will be some actual extra weight on Tom Cruise's face in the form of higher G's. Right. That's all I got.
It's really just he took the job to like get out some of those wrinkles that are finally forming. He's like 89 years old and he has like 3. So he wants those G's to just sort of flatten those out for him. Yeah,
before he went up, they did Botox and then the G's just flattened him right out. Takes him right out. All right, main topic time. DSP?
I do, but I'm going to wait. I'm just going to hold it. We've been on a good streak here.
I said this before. I'm officially not asking you next time. That was the lightest. Do you have to pee? So now you're going to have to pee next time because I'm not going to ask you.
Exactly.
We're making good time. We can wrap this bad boy up. So real quick, Facebook.com/TheCynicalNerd, @TheCynicalNerd on Twitter. Feel free to shoot us an email so that we can read it live on the pod. And we get so few of them, I forgot to check. So I'm checking right now. But look, if you guys want us to answer questions, comments, give you opinions on something, think we're stupid and said something erroneous, erroneous on all counts. Feel free to holler at us. It's #AskTCN. Mm-hmm. If you want to ask us a question, #FuckTCN if we mess something up. I think that's it.
Veronica fucked TCN'd me in real time as soon as we stopped recording last week.
Oh, shit. She got you? What'd she hit you with?
Well, we were talking about the Jackass movie, and I said how they put the poisonous snake in the room. And she was like, actually, that snake was venomous, not poisonous.
Oh, wow.
I was like, get out of my fucking house, even though it's really hers.
wow.
And we split up, and it's been a rough week. A lot of drinking.
I just saw her in the back, but I imagine that it's been tough. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking though. We'll wave to each other, but we're not talking right now.
Yeah, I will shout out. This is kind of old, but that's how little we get tweeted at. So Phil Fullworth, one of our listeners, one of our buddies, our pals, whenever you catch up to this episode, he tweeted a Spider-Man meme at us on March 17th, so just before my birthday. And it's pretty funny if you pull it up. It's Toby stopping the glider from killing Norman. And if you notice, Norman's like bent over on the ground behind him, like hurting. You know, he's like this. And it says what Norman sees, and it's just Toby's thick ass. His thick ass. Anyway, excellent tweet. I like those. If we hashtag weird fetishes, we get more responses on Twitter. So keep up the dude. The fucking the Gwen Miles Morales meme, I think, is still our most liked tweet because we got some fun categories for that one. Yeah, a lot of Rule 34 lovers out there. Anyway,
come on in.
The water is fine. Moon Knight with Oscar Isaac just came out. Released one episode, which I thought was weird because the first episode is all set up because there's a lot to tell us about the world in which he lives. This is a brand new corner of the MCU. Thankfully, no real references to the rest of the MCU.
Yeah.
And I heard that that's traditional for the rest of the series. Like, obviously, it's in the MCU, it takes place after the blip, but that's all they give you. And there's not like Captain America's not going to fucking show up. Like, it's just a Moon Knight series, which, thank you. I'd rather it feel like a standalone thing. Ethan Hawke playing the bad guy who looks just to be like a cult leader kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna, because we like to do general thoughts and then dig into it later. I liked this episode. I liked it quite a bit. We were kind of dogging on Oscar Isaac's British accent early on in the trailers, and while it is still a little cockney and silly, there's a kind of reason for it because it's like a split personality of an American man. I mean, I'm not saying it excuses it. I like it because I enjoy doing shitty British accents myself, so it like doesn't bother me at all. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, all right, pick up a little cup of tips while I watch this show. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Anyway, no, but so Egyptian mythology has never been worked into the MCU before. We have Norse mythology with Thor, and now they're working in Egyptian gods, and for that fact alone, I found it pretty interesting. I mean, it looks like, and they haven't officially said this, but, well, they have, basically. But the character of Stephen Grant or Mark Spector, they serve Khonshu, and it looks like Ethan Hawke's character serves Amit, who's not really an Egyptian god. He's like a piece of Egyptian lore that you feed souls to in the underworld when they're deemed not worthy, but he's not the person who's supposed to weigh them, so it looks like he's taking it upon himself to gobble up some of them souls.
Right.
But it's an interesting premise. It looks like these are two different manifestations or tools of these Egyptian gods. Like Mark Spector's a tool of Khonshu, Ethan Hawke's character as a tool of Amit. Arthur Harrow's his name. And it looks like it's like these avatars of these Egyptian gods are kind of like fighting the Egyptian gods' war on the ground for them.
Yeah.
And it almost looks like Khonshu just picked the wrong avatar because he picked the guy with split personality disorder. And the whole episode is him like, no, the idiot's in charge again. Like, get rid of that guy. Let's get the other one.
So that's like, just so I understand, I don't know if this has been like, this is true to the comic books. If you read the comic books, I don't know. But like what I'm getting is, first of all, I thought he had like multiple personality. Well, 2 is still multiple, but so I guess what it is it Khonshu is the god that it sort of channels through him?
Yeah.
But it's only when Mark is sort of in control of the body.
So far, but I think that's going to evolve.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought
because we've seen multiple variations of Moon Knight. We've seen the one with the suit on.
Right. I'm sorry. Actually, I cut you off. I'll go when you're done.
No, you're good. I'm basically done. I just, we're seeing them kind of fold Egyptian mythology into the MCU a little bit here. And the show is a bit bloodier than I expected for a Disney Plus show. There's one scene where he's holding a scarab in his hand after messing up all these guys. There's double-edged sword here. One, I would have liked to have seen the action, but 2, because of how the episode was structured, I get why they did it. It's like he's blacking out because Mark Spector's taking over.
Yeah.
But just him holding that scarab and it's a bloody, I was like, that's more blood than like the past 17 MCU films combined. Yeah. Like literally, they were like, oh boy, didn't think we were going to need this line item on the budget.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hawk is so far a cult leader, kind of one-dimensional, but I'm sure he will hopefully be expanded upon. But yeah, I like it so far. I'm interested, at least. I'll watch a couple more.
No, I do too. I feel pretty much exactly the same. I thought it was it's sort of a rough start, I feel like, because you have 6 episodes,
right?
You have to set up the character, but you can't blow your load all at once. So like, I get it. Like,
Right.
there's this weird balance to strike.
That's why it's weird to me they didn't put 2 out at once, because you're like, where's Moon Knight?
So you
and
get
then
more
the
of a
answer
flavor.
is right at the end,
But I did like, once it sort of kicked off and he's having these he's chaining himself to bed at night, and he puts this piece of tape over the door to see if he's left his room or whatever. Once we got into the split personality, we're exactly whenever he's in danger, I guess Mark just sort of like comes to the forefront, fucks everyone up. And then I can't think of his like British person.
Stephen Grant.
Stephen. Yeah. He comes back and he's like covered in blood. And then like, it just makes for a funny dynamic, right? Where like, you're being pursued by this person and you're this like hopeless, like nerdy guy who works at the gift shop. And then all of a sudden you come to and you've done some assassin shit. And now this cult leader is like sending more people after you. Like, no, I swear it wasn't me. Like, of course they're not going to believe you. They just watched you do it. And then there was an interesting aspect of it where like, I didn't realize that with Moon Knight that is again, Khonshu. Is it Khonshu?
Yeah.
Is sort of a separate entity outside of him. So you can hear him talking. And like you said, like, oh, the idiot's in control again. So I thought that was cool. I just figured that like he was sort of this, he like granted powers onto Stephen, and then like all of his different personalities had, those powers. So I think it's cool that for the time being, Mark is the only one who has them, but Khonshu can still speak to all of his different personalities. Yeah. I thought that was a cool dynamic, because then he hears this voice in his head and he's like, wait, what? Who? Like, what do you mean? Like, what other person are you talking about? I just thought that was an interesting dynamic. The way that they like have him black out and come to and then he's like going in reverse on the highway. Like, all those scenes were funny, but they were like good action. Like, they were shot well. I have to say, I'm not understanding why, because I saw the trailers and none of them were too in depth, but I saw him in his Moon Knight costume. I knew what it looks like, but when the costume showed up in the end, I was like, oh, it just didn't look good to me. Like, it looked really corny, and I was really, really on board for the whole episode until then. It just looked dumb. It looked like out of place or something. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying it's enough to make me go, I don't want to watch this show. But like if I'm being honest, and like my one truly negative thought was, and I don't know why, like I knew what he looked like, but like when he like it's camera pans and he stands up and I was just like, oh, that looks kind of dumb. I don't know.
So I'm going to say a secret here, which is that
a secret.
I agree with you. I've always thought Moon Knight looked kind of fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And there's a very famous monologue in The Dark Knight Returns for Batman, and you'll see where I'm going with this in a second, where he talks about the yellow and the bat symbol, and he's like, this is a target. Like, people see this and they gravitate towards it. In the comics, because suspending disbelief, the target itself has bulletproof plating behind it, so he's like trying to get people's attention towards it, shoot at his chest so it's protected and not his face.
Right.
And Moon Knight has always got shit for ripping off of Batman, because in the comics, Stephen Grant, I think it's Stephen and not Mark. I'm pretty sure it's Stephen. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hashtag fuck DCN. Stephen Grant in the comics is not like Stephen Grant in the show. They changed this completely, and I think it's because of the Batman reference. In the show, Stephen Grant is comics. Sorry. In the comics, Stephen Grant is a billionaire playboy. He's like Bruce Wayne.
Right.
And then he's got the Mark Spector side, who's like an assassin or whatever. And in the comics, there's a monologue that people have talked about where he's like, the reason he wears white, and they're like, it's because I want them to see me coming, because I want them to know fear or something. And the way the monologue plays out, it sounds like such a cheap grab to be like Batman-esque. And and people point at it and go, oh, that's sick. And I'm like, I think it sounds really fucking stupid still. And he dresses in all white, and I think the stupid looking still. And the suit, like, it's not horrible. It's a big CG mess though. Like the whole thing is CG, and I wish it was more physical.
Yeah.
and existed in the real world.
It feels like, it felt like bad CGI, and I don't know, even like the eye glowing, and I was so on board, and that was the one thing that maybe just kind of deflate a little bit. I'm still going to watch it. I'm not saying like the show has been ruined for me and it's corny.
Yeah.
None of that. Like, I want to see what happens. I want to see in what way do Mark and Steven ever like truly like have some way of communicating with one another. Like, there's so much
stupid costumes stopped us from watching shows. We would never watch The Boys.
Right. Never turn the TV on. Yeah. No, I'm still, it was good. I would recommend it to anyone. But not a whole lot happened in this episode to really dissect.
Yeah, it's really just introducing you to the world in which the show will take place, the setting, who his character is. And even with the silly British accent, I love Oscar Isaac. I think he's a great actor.
He is excellent.
And I don't know if you got this, but I got like especially during the driving scene where he's like going in and out of Mark and Steven and getting chased by these guys who are trying to kill him. And there's like the little log truck. I got this like Indiana Jones vibe a little bit somewhere in there.
I never really saw them. Remember? I slipped through the cracks and have never really seen those movies.
Right. I forgot about that.
Sorry.
Note to self: cancel further episodes until he's watched them. No. I'm excited to watch more of this show, and I would. Although this is supposed to be the cooler of the two costumes, I might be more interested in the other one because it looks like it'll be all physical, like him wearing a suit as opposed to, it's just CG. The whole thing's CG. If there is a physical version out there somewhere, there's so much CG over it that I can't tell when it's physical. It just looks like it's constantly CGI. And when we, again, like you said, when we watch the trailers, there's scenes of him like jumping over rooftops. Literally, the scene of him jumping rooftops goes into the Disney Plus logo. It looked a little CGI. It looked a little CG, which obviously it is, but it looked fake. And I'm like, well, it's the trailer. I always forgive those things because I know that they're not finished products, and it still kind of looks a little fake. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was fairly visceral when he's like ground pounding this fucking creature, which was terrifying, by the way. When that thing was chasing him, legit horror movie vibes of being chased by a monster, because it's like every 2 seconds it's barely missing, like gnawing his fucking arm off. But he turns around and walks towards the screen, and I think it's supposed to be menacing, and because it's like poor CGI, it just looked goofy to me. We'll see how it goes. Ethan Hawke murdered an old lady in the street and no one cared.
They congratulated him for it, really.
Yeah, it was weird. I also like it. We didn't talk about it, but the concept of him like being an avatar for Amit, and the thing being like, I've heard of the Egyptian concept of like you get weighed in the afterlife, like you versus your heart versus a feather, and one of them has to be lighter. And the idea here is that he can see past and present, and it draws on like fate, and it almost has ties to Loki and conversations at the end of that show where they're talking about, do you have a set fate? Can you break it?
Yeah.
Is this who you're meant to be? There could be a connection there somewhere with, what's his name? Holy shit, I'm forgetting. The bad guy at the end of Loki. Whatever. Guy who has the monologue. Kang.
There we go.
Anyway. Okay. Last but not least.
You're going first.
Well, yeah, there's an article here. You're going for it. Let's just get that out of the way. Last but not least, there was an article. Apparently, Moon Knight's getting review bombed.
Oh, right.
Because one of the things that Arthur Harrow made reference to is the Armenian Genocide, which some people try to act like didn't fucking happen.
Yeah.
Guess what? Review bomb me, motherfucker. The Armenian Genocide happened. It was a horrific event. And the Turkish government keeps trying to fucking deny the scope and bury it under the radar. Fuck all of you who support that kind of denying shit. You're just as bad as the people who act like the Holocaust didn't fucking happen. And I hope all of you burn in hell, or if there is no hell, some fiery pit somewhere at the bottom of a volcano. That's it. I don't know if you have anything to add there.
No, just that I have so many, we are not a political podcast. We've gone over this many times, but I have many critiques of any standing president whenever they're in office. And I do of Joe Biden.
Oh, right.
Right. But the one thing that I will give him is that the Turkish president, Joe Biden, had acknowledged the Armenian Genocide. I think he's the first sitting president to do so, like at a press conference or whatever. And the Turkish president was like, all right, well, if you don't stop doing that, we're going to talk about, we're going to teach our kids about the Native American genocide. And he was just like, all right.
like it happened.
Yeah,
you should tell people about
exactly. it. Like, come on. They call it, I think they call it the relocation or something. Like that's their word that they put on it, or deportation.
Yeah. They deported them to shallow graves.
Yeah, you deported them into the desert and let them burn.
Yeah, fuck you. Legit fuck you. Okay, last topic. Raised by Wolves. I was going to start off by like reading off some of the actors and actresses involved, but I didn't pull the list up ahead of time. I'm ill prepared. So we're not going to, do that. Raised by Wolves science fiction television show on HBO Max. Okay. I watched 2 episodes. And sorry, I actually watched 3. And if that doesn't clue you into how I felt about it, then this will. I really like this show. It's like, I don't know, it's like so pure sci-fi. It's hard to describe. It's like I went back in time and told somebody in the 70s, like gave them the technology to make the show look like a show from today, like CGI and whatever other filming techniques. And like, they were like, okay. And, back when like a science fiction movie was like the man who came to Earth and there was a guy in like a weird plain silver suit and he's talking in weird languages. Like this, there's like a pure science fiction where I'm like, okay, like we're just playing by this show's rules and I kind of want to see where it goes. And I really liked this. And there are some like, this show is very on the fucking nose. There's not a lot of metaphor here.
Yeah.
There is a religious faction. There are the atheists. First and foremost, the most unbelievable part of the entire show. Most atheists are basement dwellers. We would never have won that war. On the other hand, the most believable part of that show is we have proof of the Crusades by the church back in the day. So we absolutely know those motherfuckers would go to war.
Yeah.
They probably still would today. But anyway, I digress, trying to make jokes about this. There's a religious war between atheists who believe that the only way for people to progress is to stop believing in fairy tale people in the sky. And they did not mince words. They fucking said that shit right on TV. I was surprised they did. Just because people usually dance around that kind of stuff. But they were like, no, fuck that. Only way forward, human progress is this. And I don't know what happened to Earth. I think the war just like killed the planet. Like we just probably too many nukes or something. I don't think they specifically said why they had to leave, but we had to leave. And they went about it in 2 different ways. Basically giving everybody a summary of the first episode. So we can talk about it in depth without referencing things we hadn't mentioned before. Oh shit. What are they called? What's the religious people called? The Maya
They worship a deity called Sol. I don't remember. They have a complicated name. It's like the
Mithraic.
It's like it's the Mithraic something though, like the Mithraic.
Okay, they do worship Sol, and they have their sun bros. They have the suns on their tunics.
Yeah.
I should side with them, but I don't. So they make an ark. It's very similar to Christianity. They literally like took animals with them. They took real people because they did this. It's like it was like a 13-year trip in real time. It took them a long time to get there. The atheists beat them there because they took human embryos and stored them and then put 2 androids who exist in this universe. And they do the thing that Ridley Scott loves, which is make them bleed white liquid. Put them in a ship that had no life support and could therefore travel at much higher rate of speed, quicker, with less fuel because they're not tugging so much shit with them to keep people alive. They get there first. They have years to grow these kids. A lot of stuff happens in the first episode. A lot of very sad things because guess what? Spoiler alert. All the kids die but one of them, which is super fucking sad. To watch this last kid just be alone.
Oh man, and the scene though, and he's the one who like was born, I guess, stillborn, and without cutting off your broad strokes too much here, I thought that was such a touching scene that I feel like they're trying to draw parallels between many things and sort of flip the script on like sort of ideologies on atheism and theism. And as well as they're giving the androids, they've obviously been programmed to feel emotion because the one android, when the Campion, who's the only surviving kid, is stillborn, is like, oh, we have to break him down and feed him to his siblings. And she just goes like, hang on, I just want to hold him for a second. And just when he touches her skin, who's his mother, it brings him back to life. And he ends up, against all odds, being the only one that survives. That scene was like that's sort of what like locked me in. Everything before that, I was like, this is kind of weird. Like, this seems like exactly like you said about it. It seems like an ode to space opera, 60s and 70s space operas in the way some things are designed. Initially, that was jarring because I was like, does this look stupid? And then like once it sort of clicked what they were going for, a sort of mishmash between old sci-fi and new sci-fi, I went, okay, I can kind of get on board with that. But I'm sorry. Anyway, I cut you off.
No, I mean, we're basically getting there. I mean, all the other kids die. I have theories about why. We'll talk about them later. And in the first episode is when the Mithraic kind of catch up and they arrive and they come down, they find them. They are not fooled by the mother. They know instantly she's an android. They try to do what shitty people historically have always done. They try and steal the kid, basically going like, this is for your own good. We're going to take you back to our ship. They try to kill the android. Doesn't work. Turns out she's a murder machine.
Yeah.
So apparently, I don't know how it was even a contest on Earth. I'm just going to put that out there. Unless it was like atheists built these things and the religious people just bombed us with nukes and that's why the planet died. Because she, as far as I can tell, is just unkillable and murders like swaths of people with no issue. And if there were multiple of them on Earth, I don't see how they stood a fucking chance.
Yeah.
That aside, MacGuffins aside, there's a lot of really cool things here. Like her eyes are what unlock her weapon. Powers.
Yeah.
And if she swaps them out, she's basically depowered. That's going to come into play at some point. She's going to need them and not have them. It kind of happened in the second episode, but then she found him right away.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll stop rambling because I want to get into details, but I want your overall thoughts on the show. Good.
I thought it was great. I actually think it had a rough start because initially I wasn't so into it. And by the end of the first episode, I was like, you find out exactly they present things in a way that like there's these twists and turns that don't seem cheap. Initially you think like, oh, the atheists were like persecuted by the religious people. And I think they were. But however the war started, whatever, we just know our first contact with any character is with the two androids, mother and father. And they explain to their 6 kids, 5 of which die, that there was a war and that the atheists had an idea to basically like seed these planets. And they felt that their idea was the most effective. The religious people thought it was sacrilegious. And so you initially sympathize with the androids and you go, well, yeah, especially, everybody on this podcast is an atheist. So especially as an atheist, I saw that and I thought, well, yeah, of course you got to do whatever you got to do to make sure the human being, like morals kind of, or like a tradition goes out the window when you're talking about the extinction of an entire race. Right. And then it gets more complicated than that, which I love. It turns out like exactly of the 2 androids, mother and father is I forget what they call him. He's just like a standard droid. Yeah. Mother is like a killing machine. She turns into
they call them necromancers.
Necromancer. So she turns into this like
model.
Bronze skin. She T-poses up into the air. And just by looking at things, she just like demolecularizes them, like just destroys them. And so we see that at the end of the first episode where basically the Mithraic arrive and they want to take Campion because he's a human. And it's just they're saying, well, you need to stick with other humans.
Sorry. Put a pin in it. Don't forget where you were going. Okay. They also have a what's it called? They have like a vision or like a prophecy.
Yeah.
That there's like a kid with no parents on the alien world who's going to like save their people or something.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Continue.
And so in any event, she just goes to this Mithraic ship. She steals basically the amount of kids that she has lost. The android mother has kind of lost her mind because she's lost 5 of her kids. And so like her programming is sort of wired strangely and she acts erratically. In the beginning, she's very methodical and very predictable. And then as she loses more kids, like you were saying, the white blood just sort of leaks out of her nose. She's kind of losing her mind a little bit.
TM.
Yeah. But it's cool because they present to you initially as they get you to sympathize with the atheists who mother and father are sort of like envoys for. And then it turns out it's a little more complex than that. You have a guy who played Ragnar in Vikings, who's with the Mithraic. That turns out he was actually back on Earth. He's an atheist. And
I love this part.
Yeah, this is when the show really got fucking cool to me. He's basically, he is not the guy he's posing as. The guy he's posing as is some high-ranking member of the Mithraic who he had found out basically had a ticket on this ark on Earth to get off of Earth. So he got plastic surgery to look like this guy. So now he's this high-ranking official in a religious order that he doesn't believe in, but he has to basically keep up these appearances because they're the only human beings left now are these hyper religious people. So now, even though he's an atheist, he's basically like the sword and shield of this religious organization. I just think that's so fucking cool to a way to set up a character.
And there's also some cool notes. Well, some interesting character notes, which is another reason I fell in love with it, which is that I'm sorry, I'm taking your thunder.
No, go ahead. No, it's okay.
They find out that these people they're impersonating have a kid, and it looks like they kind of take to him, like they enjoy imitating these people, and eventually it's gonna fucking come out that they're not who they say they are. Which is interesting because they have the prophecy, and the Mithraic think it's Campion, but it technically can also apply to their son Jacob because this kid has no parents here. He's on a barren world, so there's all this like you said, flipped on its head, like could be what you don't think it is, but maybe it is, but maybe it's not.
Yeah.
I actually tried to look this up. I might go back and rewatch. I thought they were atheists who found the Mithraic android and impersonated them, but I went to reread and they might have been just lower level Mithraics. I can't tell.
I don't think so because they were someone like chanted right before the scene where they find the medbot that does the surgery on them. Yeah, there's a guy who says like the Mithraic prayer and they just kill him. Like, shut up. Like, we don't want to hear you. And then,
so at the very least, they were Mithraic who didn't give a shit about
Mithraic,
and now have to be super religious about it.
And then they were, there was a scene at the table where they were basically like reading the scripture to like teach themselves. I would imagine anybody who was a member probably had enough foundational understanding to like not have to practice at a table.
I forgot about that.
But who knows? You could be right. But no, I just think that
it doesn't really change it either way.
These cool concepts. Like, again, as an atheist, I'm watching these shows as an atheist. So you look at these a conflict between, believers and non-believers. And there's this part where the last of Campion's siblings to die, who has a cough, and Mother's reading them a story. And basically Campion's like, well, why don't we just try praying for her? And Mother's like, well, that won't work. And he kind of says like, nothing you have done has worked either. What if praying does work? And I think it calls into, these questions where like, you can be an atheist in the modern day. You could have been an atheist at any time throughout history. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that. But there are atheists who deny the social utility that religion has given human beings as a whole. And things like that, where like to get up and carry on and go throughout the day when you've dealt with something horrible, like there is utility in that. Like, I get that. For me, it doesn't apply to me. Like, I can't, if I could submit to that way of thinking, I would, but I'm just unable to. There's a block. It's not a choice. But I just thought that it was interesting that they keep kind of flip-flopping, not in an annoying, like, Lost way, where it's like, now it's this, now it's that, now it's just applying more nuance to something it initially, like, showed as more black and white. So it's just getting more in depth. It's just getting cooler and cooler as it goes on.
Yeah, and, just to compliment what you said about the, nothing you've done is working either. There are several kind of belief system structures that are questioned throughout the episode where, there's that example where he's like, let's try praying. And earlier in the episode, she's like, praying can't save them. Like, only science can, blah, blah, blah. And some of these lines, I'm like, ooh, harsh. It goes into this, like, well, I am an atheist and I believe the way that this android speaks, but she's being so black and white about it that
you're mad at her. Yeah.
Right. I'm like, shut up. The girl's dying. Like, let him serve the purpose that I think religion serves, which is to help humans cope with things that are out of their control. I understand, again, from an atheist perspective, like you said, the social utility of religion. It gives people hope when all hope has been lost in some cases. It helps people to cope with things outside of their control, like losing loved ones and the tragedy of the universe, which is that it's a cold and calculating thing and doesn't give a shit if a baby has cancer and dies. And these parents that have to cope with this and how they can go on living with that knowledge. Some of them turn to religion.
And that line that Campion says when he's like, the first thing I noticed about this world, that unlike mother and father, it didn't care about any of us. I was like, oof, it just like hit me real hard.
Yeah, there's some real digging, like deep dialogue in this show. And honestly, I got to be honest, I feel like I'm waiting for it to tell me some universal truth that I never thought of. And it's not going to happen because it's a fucking TV show. But I love the conversation that it's having.
Yeah.
And it's what's roped me in. Like the sci-fi also looks pretty good. Every once in a while there's a shot that I think looks dodgy, but I sent you a screenshot. The medic for the Mithraic medic who does the surgery on them. Fantastic science fiction the entire time. Like the way it's talking to them, though, they have weird shit on their face to help heal. I'm becoming engrossed by it. That's why I watched the 3rd episode, which is also great. I'm going to watch more tonight. I'm definitely going to finish.
I think I am too.
I'm definitely going to watch season 1 and we'll see how that turns out. Apparently it was good enough to warrant a season 2. So we'll see. But Ridley Scott, I mean, the man knows sci-fi. Can't fault him for it. Good job. You got me. And if you're gonna broach a topic like this, then HBO is probably the place to do it. Again, man, I'm always shilling for HBO Max. We've had quality shows come out of this service already, and I'm stoked about it.
Yeah. No, it was
Can't
incredible.
wait to watch more.
You were gonna say a theory about why the kids died, though. I'd like to hear that.
Oh, it feels weird that no one's just said this out loud because it's such a science fiction show and like they're atheists and they believe in like science. Mm-hmm. But like this is a different ecosystem. It's not Earth. It's a completely different biosphere. Yeah. Like maybe something is just special about Campion. His body has adapted, but like this is a whole, there's a whole biosphere with all different mutations of things that we've never encountered with I feel like there's just something about the planet that's poisoning them. Like I everybody's getting sick and they're trying to blame it on being around the necromancers because these models are designed to kill. I don't think they inherently have a poison cloud following them around. And I just feel like no one's just said what I feel like is going to be the obvious answer, which is just like this planet has something in the fucking air, the soil, or the microbiology that doesn't agree with our fucking systems. And unless we stay there and suffer heavy losses while our genome, changes and adapts to it, I think it's ultimately just going to keep killing people.
Yeah. Well, that's like when settlers first came over
exactly
to the Americas. They just died. Like not even like 25%, like 70% of them died of illnesses that they had never been exposed to before. So that was my thinking too. Either that or like lack of vaccination or something. But again, like if you're sci-fi enough to get in a ship and grow babies externally through an android, you probably thought about vaccination. So I don't think that's the answer.
And again, like the whole Pilgrims thing, to me, it's so glaring. It's like, why hasn't anyone even, if no one's thought of it, why hasn't anyone like wrote it off? It's like, it can't be this because we planned for it. Like, I just feel like when someone finally figures it out, I'm going to be like, yeah, okay. That's the first disappointing reveal because I fucking guessed it 2 seconds after it happened. We'll see. Maybe it will be something crazy. Yeah. Who knows?
I'm glad you like it, though. I really like it, too. I'm going to watch season 1 of this. So this is what I did not say earlier in the episode because I didn't want to give away that I actually really kind of am into this. I'm going to watch season 1 of this and then probably watch The Expanse before I watch season 2.
Oh, I'm down for that.
Just to dice it up a little bit, get a little bit of everything.
Dice it up. Yeah, because this is more, science fiction, whereas The Expanse is leaning towards science fact, just a little modified. I love the world of The Expanse, dude. I know asking you to watch a show and then listen to a book is probably orders of magnitude.
No, that's
too far.
What I was going to say, I mean, I've actually been reading a lot more at night. Now, granted, mostly comic books, but I've been getting back into reading, giving myself like an hour every night. So that's actually what I was thinking. If I like the show enough, I would probably go back and read the books. I've heard from many people that exactly what you're saying. Like the show is not lesser. It's just that the books are more, which seems to always be the case. But and plus you get a continuation of the story where the show ended. So now I do have to start it over. This will be my third time starting it over. So, but I will get through season 1. Everybody I hear, everybody I talk to says, and I hate that too. Like, oh, it's slow. Bad for the first season.
I know,
but it's okay. I can stomach it and just start season 2. And if season 2 I don't like, then I'll just stop there. But I anticipate that I will be into it by then.
Yeah, no, it definitely like picks up.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, cool. That's gonna wrap her up. We always say we're like, oh, I don't know if we're gonna have enough stuff, and here we are at almost fucking 2 hours again. If anything else,
just
we
like
can
talking
bullshit.
to you.
Yeah. If anything else, we can bullshit our way through an episode. 100%.
Very true.
What's next week? Moon Knight episode 2. We'll probably have more thoughts on Raised by Wolves. I mean, it's only 10 episodes, and I've watched 30% of them already. So depending on how the week goes, I very well may be done season 1.
Yeah.
I'll try for it. I'm not making any promises. I don't know what else comes out this week. We've talked about it before, but we're not watching Halo anymore. Maybe if it shows up on a free platform like a Plex by somebody, we'll watch it. I heard Cortana's being set up to arrive in episode 3 again. I don't really care.
Don't care.
I don't really give a shit. She looks terrible. That'll be it. Where can everybody find you on the internet?
They can find me on Twitter at Dr. Gloom MD. That's DRGLOOMMD.
MMDs. You can find me on basically just Twitter right now. Still not streaming. At TCN Plays. I will be returning to streaming. I'm just not sure when. I gave up trying to say dates because I don't know the answer right now. I want to redo my stream layout. I'm still waiting for assets. And on top of that, life. So Plus, when I get done, what do I want to do at night? I want to turn on Elden Ring, and I want to watch some Raised by Wolves. So I'm going to do that tonight.
This is my problem. Like when I come home, when I play video games, I just want to get blisteringly high and play video games. Like once Odin's asleep, of course. But like I can't stream and like talk to people and be entertaining while being like incomprehensibly high. So
if I decide, if I decide to do that, to have some parsley, I wouldn't even entertain the thought of turning on a stream because I'm spending the next 40 minutes contemplating if I want to go to bed now or in like 3 minutes from now.
Right.
Either way, the option's bed. That's going to wrap her up. We'll see you boys and girls and ladies and men.
All of it. The whole
spectrum. Whoever you are. I mean, I hope you're not a small child listening to this. God forbid.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
Unless you're Grayson, in which case, stop listening because come back when you're
in which case
15.
You're grounded.
Come back when you're 15 and you're making cum jokes when you're not supposed to be. All right, we'll see you next week.
See ya.